Hi everyone! Right now I'm going to show you how to move an object from one part to another part in Photoshop. This is really going to help you with that one assignment where we need to make 10 differences. So the first thing I want you to do is to open up the image that you have that you're going to make your changes. I want you to check that you only have one layer right now, your background layer. And we're going to go over to our selection tool. And I'm decided that I want to move this glass. I'm going to move it over. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is using my selection tool, I'm going to go ahead and I have to select the glass. I want you to do a really nice clean selection. Remember, if you accidentally over select, simply holding down the option key, notice you'll see that it turns to a minus. Your selection now turns to a minus, so you can always re-select it and really have a nice clean, smooth selection. Okay, so I've selected the glass and I want you to hit the letters Command J on your keyboard. Now notice it creates this glass is now on a new layer. You can't tell that quite yet because you haven't moved it. If you go over to your move tool and then move this over, you're like, oh wow, check that out. I now have the ability to move this glass. Now, we have moved it. However, moving is not the same thing, or it's not complete, right? Because you've moved it, but you haven't removed it from this part right here. So we're now going to have to do the harder steps, which is to get rid of it here. We're going to have to use our clone stamp tool to get rid of it. So I'm going to go, I've made a new blank layer. So I have this layer with the image on it. I'm going to actually relabel it so I know. I'm going to write moved glass over here. And then this is my layer. This is going to be my clone stamping, because I'm getting rid of it. So on this layer right here, I'm going to go over to my clone stamp tool. And I want to get rid of this cup. So I'm going to make a pretty small brush. I'm changing the size of my brush by using my left bracket and right bracket. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it to be quite smooth transition. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay. And I'm going to Option, holding down Option. Notice whenever I hit the Option key, this happens. This is your source point. I'm going to say, I want to Option click this, and I'm going to move it over. I'm going to try to kind of line up my lines. See how I'm trying to line up my lines here so that the plaid doesn't get too crazy. And I'm simply clicking now. Again, remember that the little point right here that you see, that's what is actually being copied. Those little crosshairs is what is being copied. So you can see here it's turning into the grass because the crosshairs have moved. I'm going to keep moving over here. Okay, I'm trying to get it just right. I'm now going to hold down that Option key again. I'm going to click right here. I'm going to try to get that over here to cover up that part. Option click here. I want to get nice. I'll try to get these nice and smooth plaid. I don't want my plaid to look completely crazy and like it has no pattern left at all, right? So I'm trying to get a nice smooth pattern. Again, I didn't pick the easiest thing to edit, but that's why, because I want you guys to be practicing this. Now, if you're like not sure either, you can always bring this clone stamp down so that the cup is in front of it. Okay. And now the next part is I really want to smooth this out. So I'm going to go ahead and make my brush even smaller. I'm going to go ahead and make some smaller changes. We don't want to make too drastic, too big changes here. We want to have a nice smooth end of the table, right? The table isn't normally fuzzy at the edge of it, so we want to have a nice smooth end of the table. Okay, I'm trying to hold down a nice clean line. Again, hold down. Every time you see those crosshairs, you know that I'm holding down the Option key, which means that it happens quite often, right? I'm constantly holding down Option click, Option click, Option click. So, trying to smooth this out. Now the next part is to Option click on the white tablecloth, and I want to get rid of the edge of the glass. Trying to blend this out. Didn't work well. Option Command Z to undo. So again, you are using your clone stamp. You're using your clone stamp. You can use your spot healing brush to blend it out. But really what I want you to do is to create a move. So again, your first step was to click on your background layer, make your selection, hit Command J so that you moved it over, and then you had to use your clone stamping to adjust it. So notice we go from our before to our after. It still needs work over here. Obviously, you would continue with it, but that is the basics for how to move an object.